to phone.
Good evening. Thanks for joining me here.
You're welcome.
All right. So today we're going to talk about some reasons why I believe that marijuana should be legalized in our country. In our country, every year, 770,000. Well, it's actually down from 2010 numbers. There's over 800,000 arrests for marijuana. And in 2011, 770,000 people were arrested on marijuana charges in our country, and 86% of those people, so it's 650,000 about, were only for possession. So this wasn't trafficking or sales or anything like that. People were arrested just on possession of marijuana. And violent crime only accounts for about 430,000 about arrests every year. I mean, this is like, murders and violent assaults and stuff like that. And so we're talking about double that amount of people being jailed for, just possessing, small amounts of a substance that was made illicit for very strange reasons if you actually go back and kind of look at it. Some people believe that it was basically made illegal initially because a lot of Hispanics, Mexicans coming over from Mexico used that, and African Americans used it in communities, and so it wasn't really a white drug. And so when it was prohibited and the tax stamp system was imposed, then we were locking up some of the undesirables from our neighborhoods. Well, at the time. Anyway, so with that in mind, we look at how much we spend every year on. Because we are in a budget crisis in this country. We don't have, we're $16 trillion deficit. And we're in every candidate and everybody's talking about how we can cut costs, how we're going to get some of this money back, and we spend. The DEA's budget has ballooned crazy since its inception in the 70s. See, Jeff Mirren, director of undergraduate studies at Harvard, has published a lot about the costs of prohibition of marijuana and that kind of stuff. And he estimates that states spend approximately $5.4 billion on marijuana prohibition, and $3.4 billion is spent by the federal government every year on prohibiting marijuana. So that's, we're talking $9 billion there just on prohibition of marijuana. That's not, we're not talking about other drugs. It's purely marijuana. Arrests of people and stuff like that. And then Jeff Mirren estimates that about $8.7 billion could be, if we taxed new marijuana sales, so if we made marijuana legal, and then we taxed it like we do cigarettes and alcohol, he estimates that we could make $8.7 billion in revenue every year. He also admitted to CNBC that number could be as high as 15 million. He thought maybe he was, shooting a bit low. Some people estimate up to 100 billion, but he thinks that would be crazy. But I personally am in that camp, just looking at the numbers. So if you look at how much we make on alcohol and tobacco tax in this country, because basically right now marijuana is, it's all black market. So you pay the prices that are there now. I don't feel we can use as a gauge on how much we could charge in taxes or whatever for marijuana going forward, because if we make it legal and people have an avenue to buy it legally, there are some people that will buy it that way no matter how much it costs, because it's so much easier to get. I don't have to worry about getting in trouble, that kind of stuff. So if we do that, we're going to take away some of the market from the black market. They're going to have to raise their prices to compete because they're not having as much volume go out. It's just supply and demand. So basically, my opinion is we can charge whatever we want, and it's fair game. But if we go by, let's say, the Urban Institute and Brookings Institution estimate that the federal government earned $27 billion in 2010 from the sales of from just the taxes that we're earning from the sale of alcohol and tobacco. So I mean that's considerable number. $6 billion of that came from alcohol, and $17 billion came from tobacco sales. And tobacco sales are taxed at a little bit higher rate than alcohol. Let's say in Texas, just as a example, back in 2007 they raised their excise tax by $1 per pack and made $1 billion in tax revenue, just in one state in Texas. And so that to me is a considerable amount just for $1. So I mean, and every time they raise taxes on cigarettes, less people smoke. So if they raise taxes on cigarettes by 10%, I have numbers here. So the Tobacco-Free Kids organization, Tobacco-Free Kids organization estimate that for a 10% increase in taxes on cigarettes, drop all smoking rates by 5%. So 5% people quit, and 7 to about 13% of kids who are underage stop smoking, because they can't afford to buy cigarettes anymore. So that's a big number, right? Because we don't want youth smoking, and we don't want adult smoking either. But so we're not only making more money when we raise taxes on that stuff, but less people are doing it, and we're still reaping the benefits. So I think on a new recreational drug like marijuana, the sky is boundless on how much we could make off of that as a country, and I think that ignoring it is a big problem in this country. And another thing to think about, especially with the fact that we could, if we make marijuana competitive price-wise to keep young kids from getting into it, it could also help in a big way. Columbia University reported a study where they surveyed a bunch of kids between the ages of 12 and 17, and the majority of those kids said it would be easier for them to obtain marijuana right now. Most of them said they could get marijuana within 8 to 12 hours if they wanted to, but the majority of them said it was easier for them to get marijuana than to get alcohol or tobacco products, just pure availability in those situations. So I feel like that's a big problem. And then as a cash crop in this country, right now, so the Seattle Times estimates that weed production or marijuana production in the United States could be a $35.8 billion industry, and would be more than all of the combined proceeds of growing soybeans and hay in this country combined. You combine those together, we'd still make marijuana be a bigger industry than that. And right now in California, marijuana is California's biggest cash crop. And it actually totals, if they combine all other crops they produce, grapes and corn and everything else, marijuana still makes more money than all that combined. So yes, I believe that this is very important, and if we want to solve our debt crisis, this is the way to do it. So thanks for listening.